Are you ready? We're live?
You can fix it.
All righty. Welcome again. We will call the City of Shamokin Council Workshop to order here. It's April 7th, 2021 at 6 p.m. We'll call to order and a pledge to the flag. Brief moment of silence.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, folks. Roll call, Mr. Slavy.
Mrs. Seidel.
Here.
Mrs. Moyer.
Here.
Mr. Roten.
Here.
Mr. Verano.
Here.
And Miss Mayor Brown.
All right, with the roll call having had, CBG CEDACOG, who would like to go first? Are we no takers? Correspondence? CDBG or CEDACOG, who would like to go first?
Yeah, you don't have to do that. Okay, just go ahead and I'm gonna deal with it too, but I do need your input.
Okay, so we did get a couple of proposals for the RFQ that was put out for the engineer for the Pocket Park project. So the one that I'm going to be recommending is Stromberg, Garrigan and Associates. If you've looked at the proposals, quite frankly, it's not comparing apples to apples, it's apples to oranges. Also, when I reached out to DCNR for their recommendations, they were recommended as a consultant that should be, she didn't actually say used, but she said considered, highly recommended. Also, Stromberg, Garrigan Associates, they're very used to this kind of project. He doesn't even just have an engineer on staff, he's a landscape architect. So he understands the project. Also, he has worked with DCNR and CDBG projects where DCNR state, CDBG is federal. So that means the entire project is federalized. Doesn't mean a whole lot for you all, but what it means is we have certain criteria that we have to fulfill while doing the project. He understands that. He understands what needs to be done, which is super important. So that is going to be my recommendation. I know that later Linda will be discussing more about that. So once that's done, once you've picked your engineer, he can actually start working on the plan for the project. Once again, this part has to be done by 12/31/2022. So it has to be done by the end of next year. Yeah, so it's going to be a fast moving project, but it'll be very nice to see down there. That's probably the biggest project that we're working on right now. Does anybody have any questions?
Do you need that to be an agenda item for Monday night?
Yes,
Agenda item, please.
absolutely.
You're gonna recommend this.
That's who I would recommend. As I said, just because he's worked with this kind of funding, I mean, it just blows it out of the water. So and then also Doreen and I are also working on the city's energy plan. So that's a project that's happening. So I think that's all my projects right now. Oh, wait, also sheltered venue grant that's going to be opened, I believe the 9th of April. I think we have a couple that will qualify for that. That's if you had a venue that could not be open due to COVID. So I'll be reminding people on social media about that. And
Betsy, I know we're in the early stages. Are we ready to start talking about the federal monies coming
the
yet?
American Rescue Plan.
Or should that be a next month till we get the
I would say,
guidelines?
yeah, all the details are not completely released yet. The city will be receiving half the funds this year within the next 60 or so days. And then they'll receive the second half of that money next year. There's definite guidelines of how you can spend the money and how you cannot spend the money. So what we want to do is be very strategic with suggestions to the city of how you can use those funds, how it can best serve the city. So there's also a very large, I'm not sure if you saw on the news, a very large transportation piece. So this American Rescue Plan does not include any kind of capital projects involving transportation. The only capital projects that it includes is water, sewer, and broadband. But that's because there's going to be a complete other pot of money. So Charlie, I assure you, I'm watching.
Well, I'm already on it.
Yeah, because
Already on
Northumberland County should be able to get a big chunk of money, and we
Well
need
aware
a
of it,
chunk of
Betsy.
money. So we
I've
will
already
be
got it.
chatting about that to come.
I got big plans.
And also another reminder to restaurants or hospitality, it doesn't have to be just restaurants, could be restaurants, bed and breakfast. There is money available through the county for you. So there's an application. It's been put out on social media. You can always reach out to me and I'll be happy to get you the application.
How far does hospitality stretch? Does it go to hairdressers?
No, it's your NAICS code. I know, it should be.
They were hit hard.
They were hit really, there should be a whole other pot of money for hairdressers.
Yeah.
I think we can all say that they rank real high up.
Because really,
Yeah.
Many of us were walking around with
Re-
hats.
Really, I don't have much use. But the
Yeah. So it comes down to their NAICS code. So
okay, so
bed and
you can't
breakfast.
stretch it to them.
No, because it's their NAICS code that they check. But the awesome thing about this pot of money that wasn't the last time is you could actually claim that you've lost revenue, where before you couldn't. You could
Right.
use it for like soap dispensers and
Right.
cleaning products. How this one works is if you're a hospitality service and you've already received some funding through PPP or some other COVID money, you are still eligible to get this money. You're just not put in the top tier. The top tier is going to go to the people who haven't gotten any money yet so far, which there's not probably many that haven't gotten any money so far, but and if you ever have any questions on any of that, just reach out to me. Thank you. Yes?
Are we ready to talk about rail trail stuff yet, or is that a future talk?
No, that's a good one. So I'm part of the steering committee for the Rail to Trail. So that will stretch, God bless you,
Sorry.
from Sunbury through Mount Carmel, which will make the city of Shamokin a major hub city in that trail.
Mhm.
So last night was the kickoff meeting for this Rail to Trail, which is a really exciting thing for the city of Shamokin because we can use it for tourism and we can also use it for economic development. So this, I think he said it was a 9-month project to do the feasibility. So I will definitely be bringing more to you as the time goes by.
So,
I'm so sorry. It is, hold on. I have it written down.
while she's looking that up,
It's Steve Barber, sorry, from Michael Baker.
this is the project that when everybody a year ago said, "You guys are nuts. What are you buying that railroad bed for?"
This is gonna be big.
This is why it was purchased.
Yes.
This is a huge economic development.
Yes.
Truly. I mean, there's a rail trail that connects Mifflinburg and Lewisburg. I live in Mifflinburg. People are riding their bikes between those two communities all the time. And, like coming to restaurants in Mifflinburg and people in Mifflinburg going to Lewisburg for restaurants. And it's busy, it's healthy, it's such a good thing.
And it's really the new spin that we're putting on the area, the draw to the amazing natural resources that we have here. And as a matter of fact, so the Rail to Trail, as I said, will go from Sunbury through Mount Carmel. That's where it stretches. But I'm not sure how familiar you are with the Weiser State Forest. There's 33 miles of linear multi-use trails there, which is very heavily used by mountain bikers. So while a mountain biker might not really want like a rails to trail, there are some ways that we could possibly connect the Rail to Trail to that property. So it's a big deal. This is really exciting. And the AOAA was part of the funding for this project. So it's actually called AOAA Rail to Trail Project.
Oddly enough, but down towards Sunbury, they own the railroad, the AAOA now.
10 miles of it. The other very important thing to note, though, this is non-motorized. This is not for ATVs, UTVs. This is just for bikes, walking, strollers, but it's a really cool project for the city of Shamokin.
That's why this.
Yeah.
Buy that right.
These kind of projects are why they have to put extra administration on up there.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. So, any other questions? Of course.
Just, 30-somethings are looking for places to live that have outdoor recreation opportunities. And, you know, I have noticed your market area, you're attracting youth here, not youth, but you're attracting 20-somethings, 30-somethings to live here. I have to look at your demographic data, but I won't be surprised to find that you're above the state average in that demographic. So there's already something about Shamokin that is probably rental prices are low. They want to keep money for experiences. They don't want to be bound by a mortgage like their parents were. It's just kind of a really interesting generation.
No, it's we have some really cool projects happening, so this is exciting.
It is, it's really exciting.
All right, pass them to Linda.
I have an extra thing that I did not let Mr. Slavy know about. I'm going to remind you of the process by which you, can you all hear me? Remove this. I mean, I've
We can
never
hear you
been,
up here.
what's that?
I said, we can hear you up here.
I've never been told that I was, the process by which you contract with CEDACOG is at the time you put in your grant application, we present a scope of services to you. Services is not signed and you're not legally responsible to pay us for it until you physically get the funding. I have a scope of services for you for your 2020 CDBG funding. You've already done an agreement for your 2020 CV funding. This is your straight 2020 entitlement funding. You can expect the money in about 5 months. I can go over the scope tonight. I can go over it at your regular meeting. I can go over the next work session. I have quite a bit of information to share with you.
I'd prefer the workshop rather than the public meeting,
Yeah.
if everybody else was good.
Would you be okay with me presenting this at the next workshop in case people have questions and then we don't have to rush through it?
Sure.
Okay.
Is it possible to get a copy of what you will be presenting to me so that I can copy it and put it in everybody's box so that we can cut through the chase at that next week?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Would it be in the contract? Is it an executive session item that you need?
It's not anything to sign yet. You will sign the contract once the money comes out. This is something that we're making very clear because we start doing work for you before there's money for you to pay us. So this is the process that we use. We say, here, this is what our charges are going to be to administer this funding. And then when you actually get the funding, we will sign a contract. But in our case, there really is nothing that needs to be, that nothing is sensitive. We're a complete public agency. So we don't need an executive session for that.
Okay, and the reason I realize Scott's back to work, but the reason I asked is, would it be beneficial for you to come a half hour early? Just do that and then get you out of here. We would have to advertise, of course,
How do you do
but with Scott being back to work, I don't know, is that not feasible for you? Okay. Next workshop?
that? 5:30.
Okay, so 6 o'clock. So just stay there.
Yeah, next, I will have more stuff for you coming into this season because you're getting projects started and it's just a busier time of year, but next meeting, I'll have less information than I have to share with you tonight. So the scope is in May. All right, thank you.
Are you going to be addressing the EDA at all tonight? Do you want a report from them right now, or do you want me to wait?
If you have one, you can include it in your,
Well, it's the home rule question. So the EDA, I serve as an advisor for the EDA. And they have come up with a document that was approved by DCED for the city to use for the home rule.
Just the fact and fiction.
Just a fact and fiction. Yeah, it's called myth versus fact. The EDA is requesting that the city actually mail this to all the super voters May 1st. So we did check with DCD to make sure that that was an allowable expense by the city, and it is. It's an allowable expense. So I do have these for everybody here. We're trying to keep this. Also, we're putting, I think 1 to 2 of these myths versus facts on social media per week on goschmoken.com. And also, Doreen, could I send them to you also to put on the city's Facebook page? Okay, so I have these for you all. And does anybody have any questions about that?
Did you say this will be in the newspaper as well? Let's see.
I spoke to Tim Zyla. I sent this to him also. So I believe he will be putting this in also. So, and you can use companies to actually do the mailing. You all don't have to sit there and you know, stuff envelopes. But if you want to, you can. So.
That's a good thing.
Any questions at all?
We'll have a whole section for home roll coming
I
up
know.
here in a little bit.
All right. Thank you.
Nothing further?
Can I talk now?
It's just gonna be us.
Okay, you know I'm kidding. I would like to go over a piece of paper. I handed out several pieces of paper to you. I would like to go over the 2 that say budget modification certification at the top. If you remember at the last work session, we talked about having a public meeting before the upcoming April council meeting to do the required citizen participation for a budget modification. This was what we discussed a year ago when we were talking about how to get a hold of the Gilly Bauer property and how to get those buildings torn down. We talked about taking, I'm going to refer to the 2018 budget certification here. There's currently $5,000 left in code enforcement. You, council, advised me that you didn't wish to continue that code enforcement activity. So at this public meeting, we will be abandoning that activity. There was also just a little bit of money left over from last year's street improvements, $298.60. That happened sometime. It came in a little under the estimate. So we will move that as well into what's called on DCD, the Independent Street Public Improvements, because I made that project before we had the name Illumination Station. So whenever you see Independent Street Public Improvements, it equals Illumination Station. So for 2018, you'll be moving $5,298.60 into the Illumination Station project. Now, February 2019, I believe, is the one that has actually been causing difficulties for Mr. Brando, that we now hear that.
Yep,
Luckily.
taken care of.
Yep. 2 words for you: shovel ready. Shovel ready. Yeah, whenever you get to put that's the phrase they like to hear.
Shovel ready.
Shovel ready. You are shovel ready. So the second budget modification certification is for moving the funding that you allocated to the first street improvements out of 2019 funds and moving it into the Independent Street Public Improvement projects. So that will be a total of $126,927. This will happen at the next meeting. We'll hold a public hearing. That's a process that's required. There is a new 15-day comment period that's required. So I will ask council to approve these certifications pending the completion of the comment period. And then in May, we can ratify if you're comfortable doing it that way. Okay.
When is the public hearing going to be held?
The public hearing was advertised for 6:30 before Monday's meeting.
This coming Monday's meeting?
Okay.
And that is at 511
Yes,
Frankfurt Street.
yes.
question.
Okay.
And I have a question about lights and opening the door. Just wanting to make sure that we'll have access for that because it is a half an hour before.
Well, some of us will be there.
Yeah, I'll be.
Mayor or I will be there.
We only need 1 or 2 council people to attend. All of you are encouraged and welcome. But, there's a sign-in sheet, DCD likes to see local officials on that sheet. But you know what? We've had public hearings where there were none.
Yeah.
So if it happened, it won't be the first time.
Okay.
Question,
Yeah, well,
So-
either me or Darv has to be
This
there because we're the
money-
ones with the key.
Yes,
is being moved and set aside for a specific purpose,
for creating the illumination station park.
but we don't know exactly how much we're gonna need, right?
Well, I think we don't know, well, we kind of do because we're going to have a budget. And then the engineer that you're gonna choose later, you're gonna talk about later and then choose at the next meeting, will have to stay within that budget. Okay? So right now, it's 100,000 from DCNR. You have almost, let's say 130 round, you have about 133 that you're moving. And you have 193 that you allocated in 2020. So you're looking at 200, yeah, about 400,000 for the park. Which is really, you know, as far as downtown revitalization goes, if you read the downtown revitalization plan, having that park completed in the way that it will be completed in your downtown is gonna jumpstart your downtown revitalization completely. It's gonna create a great buzz. It's a really wonderful project. It's so exciting and I know it'll do good things for the city. I'm really thrilled about it. So I'm glad that we can work on it.
So all we're gonna do is basically have the hearing on this, right?
Yep, it's a requirement from CDBG regulations because we are what they call abandoning the project.
Right.
Now, I was going to, after our conversation, after the last meeting, I was gonna make a recommendation that the First Street improvement project be considered for CDBG funding for 2021. That's still an issue if it needs to be, because we're coming up into that cycle
Yeah.
again for 2021. It just keeps rolling on. Yeah, we'll put it on and, you know, just make sure it gets funded.
Yeah.
Okay, any other questions on the budget modification certification? So this will be an agenda item.
For a budget, yeah, budget modification. I'll
Yeah.
have to get the correct wording from you for that.
Sure.
Okay.
I'll be here, but, do you want me to send you an email?
Yes, please.
I'll send you an email with the wording for all my motions.
Okay.
And that can go directly to you, Lynn?
Yes.
It's just like you never left. Wait, you haven't. Makes me happy. Okay. I have another small item of business that is, I'm gonna ask you to take care of, and this is just solely because I forgot. At the last workshop meeting, we discussed taking the engineering for Illumination Station out of the 3-year CDBG engineering contract. That was before we had chosen anyone, because that project would require the skills of a landscape architect, and you did not want to hem yourselves in. I forgot to include that in the agreement with Peters. I should have had a sentence in there that said, Illumination Station is removed from this project. So, I'm going to be bringing to you on Monday, putting on your, agenda, what's called a budget, agreement amendment, where it will just say that sentence is going to be added to the original contract. And that's why, because I want your contract to fully represent your wishes.
So you're just gonna be putting an addition to it, basically.
Mhm. And Mr. Peters already understands that.
Okay.
And it's a little more work on our end, but it's just neater. it makes me feel better, so thank you for indulging. The next thing. The next thing, there's one other item on here, and that is, I believe that the city needs to appoint a new floodplain coordinator. Or when you sent me Mr. Hager's name, is he the current floodplain coordinator or he's the emergency manager?
The emergency manager.
Easy.
Okay, because Lynn was your floodplain coordinator. And, the floodplain coordinator must be a city, employee, city, it can't be a consultant. So that's not something that CEDACOG is equipped to do for you. So there should be somebody from the city who would be your floodplain coordinator.
Is there a lot of work with it, or is it more or less a,
He's gonna have to sign some things. He or she will need to sign some things. And, basically it's, making sure that your floodplain ordinance is followed. I mean, another option would be your code official, I would think. But I don't know enough about it. I know your floodplain ordinance intersects with code because of needing to know what you can and cannot do in a floodplain. But I'm sure there's also emergency management issues that code would not be aware of, so.
Scott, would this be something that Chief Jeffrey would be interested in?
I'm just gonna.
He's the emergency management coordinator for the county,
He's an employee.
and he's an employee of the city.
Mr. Higgins is also.
After the email I got from him today, I would think he would be. It was all about floodplain stuff.
Yes.
So soon you need an answer to this.
Someone from FEMA is contacting me, wanting to know who your floodplain coordinator is. I believe that you have time. I don't think she's intending to rush you. She just wants to make sure that a new one is.
So Monday would be fine.
Oh, Monday would be fine. I think even your next meeting would be fine.
Okay.
If you can't get it put together. I just wanted to make sure you were aware that it has to happen.
I mean, this is the first since I've been here.
I don't
Have I ever
know.
heard of this?
No.
Well, I think, there were a lot of things that Lynn just did. As a city employee, she didn't have to come to you and say, I'm gonna do this for you. She just did it.
So she actually was our floodplain director.
Yeah, because I didn't know that.
I'll be honest, I'm here 7.5, I never knew it.
Do you think that this was brought up because of the H&H that's gonna be
I
happening?
know.
Possibly.
That's what my guess.
Or it could just be something that they're doing in general for floodplain management, but I bet it is connected to the H&H.
None of us know what it is.
But that would be why.
Yeah,
I've never
yeah.
applied for anything like that.
You do have a floodplain ordinance according to federal and state records.
Right.
That's not something I'm
Yeah.
aware of, but the floodplain coordinator is basically the person who says, yes, I'll make sure that the city follows this ordinance.
Seriously.
It was news to me too, but I was happy to pass it along.
Okay. What's the exact floodplain
Flood
Coordinate, coordinator.
And I do have somebody who's contacting me. If someone from council would rather make the contact, I'm happy to pass along and do like an email introduction. I'm also happy to continue handling it. However, you are best served.
Good you brought it up. I don't know what's ever heard.
And that is all I have at the moment, but I have requested that the agenda include an executive session for purposes of discussion of a contractual matter.
It's the other two sheets that she gave you. That'll be an executive session. Please don't let me adjourn the meeting without an executive session.
I won't, believe me. That's all I have. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, are you ready, Bob, for the correspondence of the night here? Letter from Saber. Go Sean.
And this will get these on the agenda on Monday. I'm sorry. have a letter addressed to Mayor Brown and members of council. Sabre and its associates group, Go Shamokin, would like to request your support in organizing an event on July the 3rd. The team would like to request permission to have a festival in downtown on Saturday, July 3rd from noon until 9. This event is being labeled Independence on Independence. We intend to have vendors, a cornhole tournament, entertainment will be available through the day, including a Shamokin Got Talent show, as well as many other events and vendors throughout downtown. We will also be coordinating events at Claude Kaler Park with music in the park. It is our intention that Independence Street events will require closure of Independence Street from 8th Street to Rock Street, including the side streets between Commerce Street and Water Street. This will allow all of these events as successful as possible. We would recommend parking directions be provided to guests and are willing to assist with that. Additional details, we would like to request an open container policy on the closed area, both on Independence Street and Claude Kaler Park. Only craft breweries, wineries, and distilleries will be represented as vendors. We will require garbage containers located strategically throughout both areas, and we'll work with the street department on occasional emptying as well as removing the trash the following day. Vendor selection has started, but we do not have the final list of food trucks and vendors for the event, since it will probably change many times until the day of the event. This list can be shared with you at any time. Wendy's is in the closure zone, so we will work with them on signage to have patrons utilize Commerce Street instead of Independence Street. We will have to consider the drive-through access, and will probably allow a route from the drive-through to Cleaver for exit access. We will be in touch with street foreman and the chief of police prior to the event regarding the barricades and other specifics. We have worked well together for past events, and this is expected to continue with this and future events. They are both awesome to work with. Additional events are being planned, and we look forward to continuing to provide quality events to enhance and showcase our city. We look forward to hearing your response regarding permission to begin officially planning the July 3rd event. Thank you for your consideration. With appreciation, President of Sabre, Kathy Vitovich. Besides what I just read, there is a plan attached, which I'll make copies of this, put this in everybody's box, and put it on the agenda for Monday's meeting.
Street foreman too.
I realize Monday's kind of quick, but
Close a lot of streets.
without having the chief and Kevin put a stamp on it.
We're gonna look at that.
One issue I see with closing every side street
You're closing everything.
is if you have an incident,
Mm-hmm.
you're making your fire apparatus go all the way to Market Street, out to Sunbury Street, and up. If it's up on Bunker Hill, like these two down here, we'll have to go all the way out around.
That's a lot of streets. Yeah.
Yeah.
You should be included for yourself.
Okay.
I don't think anybody's voicing against it, just the fact that the amount of streets they're taking.
Right.
It's an enormous amount.
You know, if there's at least one side,
Yeah.
the side streets that you can drive.
I agree.
To get to Sunbury Street, that's all you need.
Yes, at least some of them anyway.
So what I'll do is I'll copy this, put this in everybody's box, and Chief, since it involves what it involves, how about
So,
I'm
agenda item,
waiting for him to stop
I
talking.
know, but he's talking to Charlie. Agenda item pending approval by the chief, street department, and fire departments. Okay. Okay.
That's what I'm waiting for. That's why I stopped talking.
I figured I'd just stop because they were talking amongst themselves.
Chief, what I was waiting to say is this is gonna get copied and put in everybody's box. Can you, as the chief of police, please take the lead in having whatever meeting you have to have? Okay,
My only other comment, and this is something that we're learning as we go, the open container ordinance. Once we do an open container ordinance for a given area, that allows those people to sell beer in there. But we also found out with the shenanigans on 8th Street, people from Shamokin have no problem showing up with their own case of beer, sitting down and enjoying the entertainment and not spending a dime there. So do you restrict it to open containers only sold within the event? And if somebody's sitting there with a case of Budweiser, that is illegal.
Oh, boy.
Well, like when you go to a wine festival, you can't take your own wine and sit and drink it. You have to drink what they're selling there. That's the whole purpose of these events, is so they buy product from the vendors.
Mayor,
What?
I hear what you're saying, but how would something like this be?
Yeah.
Well, if you get a call from an Eric and he says, hey, somebody showed up with a case of Budweiser, the police go down there and tell them, you can't have it. Get going.
What happens if I buy it from the distributor and it's the same stuff that they're selling and I take it there?
How are you gonna know?
You wouldn't be able to tell.
Frank, what's your saying?
Yes.
Mhm.
So that was just an issue that I saw up here, and realistically, these people can show up, not spend a dime, enjoy the paid for entertainment all day long, and go home.
I agree with you. But again, how do you police?
Is there a difference between
Nothing on
a
such a scale.
municipality though and a winery, which is a private business? I'm not saying I don't agree with your point. I'm just looking
No,
at
I
it
see
from
what your point
how do we enforce that?
That's why I directed that to, solicitor, because I think maybe you can give some guidance on as far as.
One of the problems, wineries, obvious winery.
The other question
Allen's
would be,
winery.
if it's open container, how can you set open container to a certain brand?
For things that are sold at the event.
Yeah,
Is that-
I mean,
is that-
I'm
is
not
that
disagreeing with
enforceable?
that, I'm just saying.
Is that
Yeah,
enforceable?
but I think what Scott's saying is how would you enforce that?
Like, just for an example, Claude Kaler. If I live across the street from Claude Kaler and I wanna come out with a can of beer out of my house, why can't I walk over to it?
We didn't know.
You can't right now. You can't be on a public street with it off your porch.
I agree.
But what about an event?
Okay, but only for the beer being sold at the event. Not bring your own and sit, because what you're gonna have is music in the park is gonna attract people. Somebody brings a half barrel of beer and starts pumping it out and giving beer out. That's a problem. You're gonna have fights. You're gonna put it right back into the reason why we stopped having beer at these events. Cheap beer in large quantities, people are gonna cause problems.
Well, I agree with that.
What do you do if they show up with a half barrel and pay Claude Taylor and say, you said open container, we're partying tonight, light switch, yeah. You have to be able to stop it somehow.
I think it's, first of all,
But
the
Mayor-
police department doesn't have the manpower to send 2 or 3 cops over here on Independence Street from one to another to just supervise that. What happens when there's a call? I just think you're looking for total chaos.
How many incidents are we talking about
Providing your own.
How many what?
down on 8th Street? I mean, how,
There was one person I saw with. And walking
my concern is that one person is going to ruin it for the business that
Yeah.
they're trying to support.
around. Unless we find a way to restrict it to alcohol sold at the event.
Well, if we state that, at least we have something to, back us up.
Okay, we're talking about beer here. What about in a couple of weeks when we grant permission for the heritage, the Anthracite Heritage festivities on Market Street? I live on Market Street, okay? Why do I have to go through Jeannie Schaefer and her organization if I want to something on my front porch to the
We
public.
went through that.
Yeah, that's.
We went through that.
Well, here's the other.
Yeah, is that
where I was
prohi-
gonna
is that
say,
prohibited?
Independence Street.
What happens if, let's say, a business down here lives upstairs and they come down and they want to sell? I think he understands what I'm
I
saying.
know what you're saying with that. Because it became an issue before.
What's that?
It became an issue the last time down there. Because, I mean, how does
These businesses can't afford their own.
that decide investable controlled by the house board sale?
Yeah, I mean, you pay taxes, it's your property. I understand that the sidewalk belongs to the city, but it's your legal responsibility to
To
maintain
maintain
it. And the street belongs to the city.
Frank,
We're on apples and oranges now. We're talking
Well, yeah,
about.
we're talking
So there's
about-
no alcohol, so
Right,
let's
you're talking
straighten
about-
the one issue out and then move on to the other.
right.
My
I think
concern
both
is when
issues
you
come
have,
down, to how you want to police this subject.
well, no,
Yeah,
what-
but
I do have a point if I can make it.
Okay.
When you have the Independence Street event, how do we know what they bought at Ale House, what they bought at Tiffany's, what they bought at anything in there?
How you know?
It looks like what everybody else is bringing in. And so while Eric's shenanigans, I understand you could identify that. In this area, with the places they could potentially
Yeah,
buy,
but-
I don't see how you could identify who brought what where.
But music in the park is something you can identify.
That's different. But for we're on Independence Street now, right? So Independence Street, everything else solely out the window. How would we even be able to tell if I bought something at Ale House and somebody bought something, across town and walked over here? How could, in that specific circumstance, we can't help. Music in the park, we'll deal with later, but I don't wanna see independence on independence get bogged down with details that we can't control.
What if I have it in my Yeti cup?
That is another thing. Yeah, exactly. What are you supposed to do? Tell them to spill it out?
Again, my thoughts are only to stop the mass consumption of cheap beer at our events. It's not meant to stop a guy from wanting a beer. Eventually, you're going to have somebody show up with cases of beer to an event. It's coming. Unless we put a restriction in that for working. What we do. Just put it out there.
Obvious, the more events you have, let's be realistic. You're gonna have, there's no doubt in my mind, you're gonna eventually have an incident. But to be fair to everybody, as Scott and Jim said, if I go in the Ale House and I get a Budweiser, how are you gonna really be able to tell? I mean, there's no rule.
For the downtown event, this won't be, you won't be able to do it. The other ones, when Dennis, once his street closed down for the
Well,
brewery
yeah,
opening.
I would say that's more recognizable.
And music in the park, and music restricted.
Yes.
Those things, yes, it's a problem that's coming. I just threw it out there for you to consider as we do these open container ideas.
And I thought we added that line when we approved the Claude Kaler. When we talked about Claude Kaler, that line had to be in there on the motion at the meeting. So we would make the same, we'd add the same line to the motion for any of these littler specific events.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no.
I would think that'd be a little.
I just think the Independence Street one,
Probably not feasible. You're right.
we'll have to call it another department.
I mean,
Contingent upon the
Pending
approval of street
approval.
closures.
By the chief, street department, and fire departments. All right,
Correspondence, received, addressed to Mayor Brown and members of council. This is a traditional request. The West End Fire Company here in Shamokin plans to hold its annual block party on Friday, June the 4th and Saturday, June the 5th, 2021. As always, they're requesting to block off Pine Street between 5th and 6th Street and 5th Street between Pine and Mulberry Street, beginning at noon on June 2nd and continuing until Sunday, June 6th at noon. As always, we'll make sure that the streets in the area around the premises will be thoroughly clean. Thank you for this, for your attention in this matter. Mr. Joseph Whiteman, recording secretary. Again, this is a traditional request made each year. Objections to putting it on the agenda?
The last one, we have to waive the open container law for that.
Serious?
We never had.
The same thought was occurring to me.
But we
I should do it.
I mean, we should, yeah, realistically,
This is the last one we have left.
because it takes one person to find out that you didn't do it, and then it's, well, you made me do it.
I'd say,
It's not a big deal.
No, it's not hard to do.
I'd
Then
say,
they need the line in so Brian has it for the agenda.
I don't think it hurts to put it in.
I think we should. I think we should help them do it. Why not? If we're gonna do it for the other businesses, why not let the fire come? What's that? June 4th and 5th, right, Paul?
Yep.
Okay. And that's not a big deal for the street department. That's not.
The next correspondence, let's see,
What's King?
this is from Paige Bassett.
It's a business.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I'll read this as quickly as I possibly can, so we're not sitting here reading. We, Alex and Paige Bassett and Kendall and Glenn Weaver recently opened up a business in downtown Shamokin called Advancing the Kingdom. We are on an off-road motorcycle, ATV and UTV repair shop, and we are located at 401 West Spruce Street on the corner of 5th and Spruce. Although our trade is service, repair, and parts, a part of our main vision is bringing life and light back to the community. The four of us are drawn to this area and reviving it. And my husband Alex and I live just a few streets up in Cole Township, therefore we see firsthand the need for business and visions like ours. We have successfully carried out 2 community events so far of food box giveaways, one in December and one in February of 2021, which can be reviewed in the news item. We are planning on another community event, except this time we aim to reach more. We received a donation of cereal from Manna for Many, and we are receiving a donation to purchase milk from Wise's as we are serving a community breakfast. Along with the breakfast, we will be having prize giveaways, a raffle, a fire truck and ambulance to tour for the children, and we are hoping to have a police car as well. We would like if the 400 block of West Spruce Street from 4th to 5th could be shut down so we can have adequate room for the volunteer vehicles to set up comfortably. As I mentioned, we are on the corner right before the railroad tracks and we don't intend to block them. There are plenty of residents on the 400 block, so I assume they could be notified in some way. We plan to start at 8 a.m. and end about 4 p.m. depending on the people coming through. Our shop is open from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. regularly. Please contact me for additional information as we are very excited to start marketing the event and carrying it through. Best way to reach me, blah, 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 is this, and thank you for your consideration. Paige Bassett, co-owner.
Read the highlighted part on the top.
What time?
It's Saturday, May the 8th.
Yep, that's what I wanted to, because it wasn't included in the original email.
Maybe.
I don't know. Please contact them and find out where they got the information that fire trucks are gonna be there. I'm not aware of it yet.
Haven't talked to anybody.
I talked to the lady there, I think she's
Just
spoken to
came.
us.
okay, they spoke to West End.
Hey,
The city still owns the apparatus.
That's a question.
It should be, like, we should know that.
At the last meeting, we discussed, this was brought up, I mean, there's a lot going on, but about establish an event form. Have we made any progress on that?
Yes, it's done.
Okay,
Done.
We also established a time frame that this had to be ahead of time so that we could, if we had questions, we could.
that's what I mean. I mean, we should have this
I
stuff
mean,
in front
we've
of us.
obviously got questions for this,
Yeah.
and Monday's our meeting.
This arrived this afternoon.
There's no way we can keep allowed. It's just too many coming in. We'll have enough. What's that?
Yeah, I don't know why we wouldn't do it on Fifth Street.
Yeah, because that street's open.
Is that a Saturday?
Yeah, but that, yeah, there's not much open on that side.
We'll park them on the railroad tracks like he does.
I mean, fifth would certainly be more suitable.
Yeah, it's shutting down.
Well, somebody can always reach out to her and with these suggestions and.
Once again, with any street closures and rerouting of traffic, if the chief and Kevin.
They're gonna have to get together with these people. There's too much.
If you could also meet with these folks, with Kevin, potential street closures, rerouting of traffic.
Working.
Approve the fire truck and police car. That's what I mean.
Says they're trying to get a police car.
They already have a fire truck.
They have a fire.
Oh, they did.
You know, here's the other thing, it's okay to have a fire truck and a police car, maybe drive by, but if you put that thing on public display and you start having people climb all over the inside of the police car, you're really gonna have a liability issue.
I think we need some questions asked on that one. I mean, not the, okay, go ahead, Bob.
Agenda item pending the approval of, or, because if you don't put it on the, they are within the time frame now, 30 days ahead.
Okay.
Today's the 7th, they want to do it on the 8th of next month. So,
You have to put it on. Please hopefully get the question.
if you put it on,
Okay.
maybe the date.
What's next, Bob?
So what questions need to be answered by them? Is the chief gonna get a hold of them?
I hope so.
Well, it's gonna.
Him and Kevin won't be able to do anything.
I thought I was in charge of the street. Yeah, if you want to get hold of them.
Yeah. Okay, what's next, Bob?
Chief, I'm available Thursday evening before payroll.
Okay, we'll put it on the agenda, but pending approval by.
Next matter, next correspondence, this is in regards to a date change. It's from Eric, who is the co-owner or owner of Covered Bridge Brew House. To whom it may concern, we would like to request a change in date for the May event. Originally scheduled for May the 29th. They didn't realize that that's the same date as the Heritage Festival. Therefore, they would like to move theirs a week earlier to May 22nd from noon until 11 p.m.
Is the one that
We approved the
changed
29th.
already?
Yeah, we approved it for 29th. He wants a date change to 22nd.
We approved the last Saturday.
Yeah.
Last Saturday of every month.
Yeah.
They want to change it to the Saturday before because of the Heritage Festival.
I don't think that's. Yeah.
I did, when we approved it, I never thought about it.
I never thought of the Heritage Festival either.
30th May.
I don't have a calendar with me right now,
What's next, Bob?
but I'll start wearing the one that's on my desk.
Next correspondence is from Dennis Belinda, Lost Mine. It reads, we would like to ask permission to close off Spruce Street from Market to Cole Street with signs on 6th Street to notify traffic coming from the west. This event will be to celebrate the first active brewery in Shamokin in 46 years. Since the closure of FNS in 1975. This would be on a Saturday and the following Sunday from 12 noon till 9 p.m. We believe this would be in May, as we are not able to predict exactly when the brewery will be in operation and the beer is done fermenting.
We can't predict what
I spoke with Dennis today and I asked him if he had a day set yet. And he said not in stone yet, but I'm thinking it'll be just before the Heritage Festival, which would put him at the 22nd, the same week, and as the Covered Bridge.
Two different locations. I don't
It
see that
is.
being an issue.
It continues. I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
We are also asking to suspend open container laws for alcohol sales from our establishment in this area during this event.
Mm-hmm.
What happens if we say, okay, for the weekend of the 22nd, and
It's not done.
he's not ready?
There's no way you can bump to the next.
No, you
You
can't.
can't have the same day. You can't have that, you can't have it the same day.
If he doesn't make the 22nd, he would have to wait.
Till June.
June.
Yeah. Yeah. You
I'm
definitely,
thinking he would have to resubmit a new date for us to approve.
He actually hasn't even, I mean, when I asked him today, he said there was nothing set in stone, but he was thinking it was going to be the weekend before the Heritage. So it's either, it's gonna, I don't know, guys.
I don't think you can. We know.
Just do an open.
No.
We need an exact date and time. You can't just say we're gonna approve like you said.
We'll just put this on the side.
Table it for now, I guess.
I mean, you still have your May 10th meeting. I mean, he got the request in time. I guess we could discuss it at the 10th with a specific date in mind. If that's what you guys so
When's our
wish.
council meeting?
May 10th. Yeah, he'll have
Okay.
2 weeks, 2 weeks to plan,
I would say-
maybe 4, or if he decides to go to June.
And we have another workshop also.
Yes, we do.
I'd say hold off until we get. the-
All right, so hold it till we get a day.
You can't approve something and just,
Maybe this is just to do the 30 day.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, okay,
Get it on our plate.
right. But just so he knows, I would definitely not recommend the Heritage
Now,
Festival.
that door is not open, so it shouldn't be.
My wife's still there.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Just so he knows that the Heritage Fee can be out.
Yes.
I would
He
not.
said
approve that.
before the Heritage, so he's
Yeah.
fully aware
Okay.
that the Heritage is that
No
weekend,
problem.
so.
What's next, Bob?
Okay, the next correspondence comes from the Citizens for a Better Community. This is traditional. Dear Cole Township Commissioners and Shamokin City Council, I am writing to you today on behalf of the Citizens for a Better Community, asking permission to organize a 25-minute fireworks display to be held on the Cameron Bank on top of Glen Burn, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Once written permission is received from your governmental businesses, an insurance binder will be issued to you immediately with all involved parties listed as co-insured in the amount. And
What's the date of that one?
it's just a general,
4th of July.
What is the fourth? Okay, all right.
July
Somewhere
3rd,
around there.
with July the 3rd, with a rain date of July the 4th.
Okay.
This is at 9:40 p.m.
Okay.
Also with this is another request to the same governmental agencies. A request to conduct the annual fireworks display. The Citizens for a Better Community are requesting permission for allowing activities that will be part of that weekend. As always, this will be on July the 3rd, curbside collections beginning at 11 a.m. and ending at 9 p.m. at the following intersections. They are 6th Street at Jack Williams, Route 61 at Pool World, and 2nd and Walnut Street. We are also asking permission to place collection containers at area businesses for the 2022 display. Thank you for your time and consideration. Angie Arnold. So go ahead and move that. Just so you know, they also have requested and have been granted permission by Mr. Helfrich, Edward Helfrich, who is the owner of that.
I'm assuming they contacted you about helping with security on the mountain again?
No, and I will check with her to talk to you, because the sheriff usually
John.
helps, in what culture, and I think even Dave Corsi has offered help in the past.
Yes, they provide me.
You'll be doing it tonight.
So there is the only thing, learning something from last year, I would say contingent upon the whole township commissioners approval also.
Yep.
It's a joint effort between the two communities, and last year taught me a valuable lesson. We went to the township and asked them to also deny doing this. I don't think they really wanted to. I think the commissioners truly wanted to still have the fireworks display. That is in their area. But at their meeting, they said, we will support the city of Shamokin along with you on this decision. So I'm glad to see that the request was for both entities.
I think we should.
Contingent
I
upon
think,
approval.
no matter what, we should allow it.
Yes, oh, absolutely.
I think it should go through.
Yes.
Yep.
Biggest mistake of
Yep.
4 years I've
Nope.
been sitting here
Let it
was
go.
saying last year.
Okay, moving on, I have received notification from the Pennsylvania Liquor Control Board. And it reads, Section 403 of the Liquor Control Code provides that effective July 1st, 1987, the board informed the municipality of all applications filed for a new license. This is in regards to Cold Stoker Distillery, LLC, 49 East Independence Street, Shamokin. There's a file number and a representative's name here. Says if we, what was it?
Little Tommy's?
Oh, was it? Okay.
Yeah, Eric.
It's Eric's, okay, yeah.
There's liquor control board numbers and so
Mhm.
forth on here. I guess it wouldn't hurt for council to give approval to this, just as a formality.
It's a distillery license, it's not a liquor license.
Yes.
Here's gonna be one of my questions. Zoning, planning, you have to be involved in the distillery being, I don't, I'm just throwing it out there. We seem to circumvent these groups that we put our trust in, like the state.
I'm there to ask Mr. Catino.
I guess.
Yeah.
Downtown.
This is gonna be for the manufacturer.
And he may already be working with Mr. Catino.
Might be.
Check with Mike.
Might be. I just wanted council to be aware that this has come through. And I will,
I absolutely support it, but I don't think I support it 100%.
sure,
I just don't want to.
Circumvent one of our-
Sometimes we miss some of our groups that are very important to us.
I will,
Why don't you just check with?
I will check with Mr. Catino and, we'll put it on for,
Agenda item? Okay.
and we have another request, correspondence. And this is from the Veterans of Foreign Wars, Mr. Shenowworth, Commander of Veterans of Foreign Wars. Writes to Shamokin City Council as chairman of the Shamokin Cole Township Memorial Day March. I am respectfully requesting to have Lincoln Street from, Darb, I hope you're taking good notes, because then you got a lot of streets to shut down.
Oh,
From Lincoln Street, from Market to 8th Street, blocked off from 9:15, and I'll give you a copy of this too. 9:15 a.m. to approximately 10:30 on Monday, May 31st, 2021, for our annual Memorial Day service, which would include Corporal Whitmer's memorial service. Please be advised that our committee has made the chief of police aware of the route of the march from Cole Township to the Price of Freedom Memorial. If you have any questions of him, please advise me either way of your decision. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me. Thank you in advance. This is the post commander, Mr. Shanaway.
Yeah, that's-
Standard request.
Yeah, that's every year.
Chief, are they still on the route, are they going to the Fireman's Memorial, or is that?
We did last time.
Yeah, Mayor, I believe that nothing as far as the route has changed.
Okay.
It was just last year with the pandemic, I believe. There was some
That's just a thing.
Yeah.
Yep.
You got it.
Okay. Yep.
I hate to disappoint anybody, but I don't have any other correspondence.
Uh-huh.
And,
We did receive another correspondence that Mike Robinson,
Yeah.
just so we acknowledge, we received it, it was given out.
My old age.
and I have taken the necessary step, the proper steps to notify the insurance company that represents us. So with that said, Mayor, you can move on to, there's nothing under boards and committees.
Great.
I don't know.
Anybody with old business? Great.
Where are we at with sending letters out to the department?
At the present time, I have been able to obtain a list that have names, but neither Doreen, myself, Chief of Police, need addresses. The letter is composed, it's in my office, you're welcome to stop by, I'll give you a copy of it. But I have no idea how to obtain a list of addresses for these people.
Would the tax collector maybe have them?
It was in Schmaltz, I would think, it would be residential ones. Some of them, I'm sure, some of us know.
Obviously, we gotta look at the form that they fill out to get that permit.
We changed it after that. We have them fill out a form with their name and address.
There's a physical address needs to be on there.
Yes, we made a form for them after.
Some people were coming in and didn't give us no address or phone numbers.
I don't know this. She doesn't know this. I don't know
Name,
this.
license
We
plate.
cannot find information in the code secretary's computer.
Just name and license plate number prior to this. Now we have a form we have them fill out, which states name, address,
Resident, non-resident, 6 months or 12 months do they want the permit for?
As I told the district attorney's office when they were speaking with me the other day, that we'll continue to pursue, and the mayor was,
Yeah, well, I'm glad you brought that up, just to let everybody know, we've got another call from the district attorney's office, an investigator call looking into this issue with discounted permits and not giving some people discounted permits. So we've got to do something with this, or we have a problem.
in regards to Scott's comment, I'll check with Brenda in the morning to see if she can shed some light on an address.
I mean, the thing is, like, we know what some of these businesses work for. So we can't contact them. It just amazes me. That's all I have there.
This should be done and corrected. This is going on too long.
Well, probably it's gonna have to work, eventually the
Only 4
district
months.
attorney's office is gonna say, we've listened to you long enough, and we're gonna, this is not very good.
That's the next one.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Anybody else with old? There you go. The EMA coordinator, did Jeff leave anything for us?
I do not have anything from
I
Jeff.
have one. Collector Brenda, unfortunately, is not able to be here, she's. Control, you have anything?
Payables are reconciled, the balances are all correct in all the accounts, and I put that, and I'm sure, I can't speak for Brenda, but I'm sure the judges report will be here on time on Monday, so that's all I have.
Thank you, sir. Chief, as long as she hasn't pointed that way.
Yes, Mayor, Council, the new cruisers arrived
I think Doreen can attest to this. It was probably the easiest process we've ever gone through in the smoothest thing.
Yeah.
It was
That's right.
completely,
Very, very good people.
excellent
at that
service.
dealership.
Excellent. Fred Bean Ford out of Doylestown. But they actually delivered the car today. It is updated. Everything is in the car that's required. It'll be scheduled for graphics, striping, here in the coming days. Also mid-April sometime, we've been invited by, Nate Rose, former officer here in the city, and Corporal Scandal, who still works part-time for us, to go down to where they have to their shoot house basically at Fort Indian Town Gap. So our department's gonna go down there and do a training. It's gonna be split, so obviously we have people working and whatnot. However, it's a great opportunity. It's a great benefit that they reached out to us and are giving it to us. Basically puts you through scenarios in real time. As far as shoot, don't shoot, use of force scenarios. So we're really excited about doing that. And the third thing that I have is a junior by the name of Ethan Rowe from Southern Columbia High School. He reached out to me and asked if he could co-op with our department for next year. It'd be the 2021 to 2022 school year. And in speaking with him, he's really excited. He wants to get into criminal justice after high school. It sounds like he may be having some difficulty with getting in somewhere down that way. What it would be every day for 2 class periods. So it'd be an hour and a half to 2 hours a day that he would spend with us. So I'm kind of asking for permission if we can go ahead with that. And the reason why I'm asking so early is so I can speak with the class advisor and make sure we have our ducks in a row for next year.
We've had interns before.
We have.
You're not doing, like, he's not going out. He didn't do it. Basically, we beat the station for the most part. So I don't have any problem.
No, it's a good idea.
No, and I wouldn't even consider it a full-time intern. Like I said, it's for 2 periods a day, so.
That's a good thing.
But he'll at least get to see a year-long run of how a police department operates and the justice system. That's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
Chief, as long as you're up on the wall. You got a new police car.
Yes, sir.
Let's talk about the old police car that's been out of service for a year, waiting for body work to be finished. Do we need this, are we getting the car back?
So, Bob, I believe you reached out to him, to the body shop.
You have more than one.
Right.
I have done it twice.
I had actually spoke last week with him, and it sounds like he's gonna do everything in his power to have it done, completed as soon as possible.
I will, as I said to you yesterday, I will go by the body shop tomorrow morning.
I truly would hate to have a letter from our attorney sent there that wants us to give us our car back. It's almost a year now?
August. The end of August is when it went to.
Okay.
I'll go back tomorrow morning. I'll let you know. As I leave back.
That would be, I'm sorry?
Body shop as well.
Mr. Solicitor, sir?
I'll be reading several things on Monday. First will be a resolution for the local match, which is the yearly thing for blacks. Second reading of ordinance 2102. The first reading of ordinance 2103, the curbstone marketing ordinance, for which I take no glory. It was prepared by Councilwoman Seidel. I approve this. Fantastic. And also, she prepared a resolution to implement the dates and hours for that, which will also be read. That's all I have.
The separate resolutions, Frank, 2103 and 2104, or is the one ordinance and the one's a resolution?
The resolution, I don't have a number for it.
Oh, okay.
Is that the one for last?
So you got ordinance on the curbstone and then a resolution on the hours.
Whatever the resolution is for the local match.
I'll have to look and see what
The
they are.
next one will be the resolution for Comstock.
Okay, gotcha.
We have a couple second readings going on also.
One second reading on the,
21.
vacant property ordinance.
That has been properly advertised and has been on public display at the front counter in the lobby downstairs.
I'll get your number on the resolution.
Bob?
Want to go through that Sandy's. Okay. The mayor and I this afternoon, received a telephone call from Sandy Zarek, who is a part of, organization called FAR. Sandy just wanted to give us a heads up, and ask for our assistance. They are holding a metal recyclable day here in the city. If you should all recall, a few months back, they did it, I think it was in the fall, and it was held on Bader's property, Bader's Furniture Store. It's going to be May the 15th, 10 to 4. Included with that will be youth clothing drive, at the municipal parking lot, which they also held, back in the fall when they were doing. We need to contact the fire chief or Scott. If you tell me who I should contact for, fire police help as they provided at the previous drive there on Sunbury and whatever that side street is. Should I just reach out to Steve Jeffrey or?
Yeah, you can all see, we can contact Joe.
Okay. Okay.
Went very well. I don't think we had any problems with the Charles.
Nope, not at all.
So,
It was a huge success.
the mayor and I talked about,
Agenda items, Scott?
pardon?
Are they agenda items?
Yeah, if they're gonna be.
Two separate, mental media and youth. Was it youth clothing or was she saying youth clothing?
She's saying
Youth. Okay.
youth clothing drive. in
Youth
the
clothing.
municipal parking lot.
So I wasn't sure if you were saying youth.
That's what it sounded.
So youth,
That's what it sounded like.
you're live. So it's youth, youth. Okay.
Let's spell that. I'll take it.
I would, as far as under the administrator, that's all I have. I do request, once I'm done with that executive session for contractual purposes, I would like to talk with just counsel and solicitor, in regards to personnel matters.
Elected officials, Mrs. Morris.
No, no, nothing. I'm just confirming that, I did hear from Controller Kinder, and he informed me that accounts had been reconciled. I did not hear anything from Brenda. I'm assuming her report will be forthcoming,
She had a family emergency.
Yes, I understand.
Okay, as long as everybody's. Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
Thank you. Mrs. Seibel?
Okay, let's keep it brief. The first item is the Rock Street pool. As I'm the new guy, so as everybody knows, preparations for the pool don't just happen overnight. Larry has been at it since late January, early February, moving things around. We ordered our supplies for the COVID money that we had, everything that went through back in October. He got all the stuff that he wanted to get. He has been keeping up with the guidelines. Currently, we're at 50% capacity if we open, but they anticipate it will increase to 75%, and that's all manageable on his end. Social distancing has been decreased from 6 feet to 3 feet. Masks are encouraged while inside the perimeter of the fence in the pool area, but are not to be worn in the pool. It is very important that lifeguards are responsible only for lifeguarding duties. They are not to enforce social distancing and masking issues. That is not their job. And if we have to have an extra staffer on just to walk around the pool, the lifeguards are only to be focused on the pool. Larry's aware of all the necessary signage and has begun procuring that. The water meter gets turned on Monday and they'll begin draining. The pressure tests, the patching and painting will come after that. Considering all the factors, all the work he's put into it, the additional grant money we received to offset the cost of the supplies, and hopefully things that we can be reimbursed for, the sanitization of the locker rooms and everything, I don't see that there would be a problem with opening the pool this year under these manageable guidelines with additional funds. We talked about it earlier in the year. He's been working under the guideline that we would be opening, and I don't see why we can't. The date that I'm asking to go on the agenda for opening weekend would be June 4th, 5th, and 6th. And the opening date, as always, depends on the staffing, whether we get everybody certified, we get people hired, of course, the weather and mechanical issues that arise, if any. But considering all the work that he's put in and the interest in opening the pool, I don't see any reason not to move this along.
Couple of questions. And I know we danced around with this 2 years ago when we were doing these sponsored swims. What is the capacity? What is 50%? I don't want to put you on the spot for a number, but do we really know the number?
No, but we did discuss the free swim program.
That was my next question. Are we gonna do the sponsored swims?
As it stands right now with the capacity guidelines, Larry doesn't feel it's in the best interest of the city to ask for a donation to sponsor the pool and only have it at 50 or 75% capacity. He just doesn't think it would be fair to the businesses and the people who support it, or to the people that come out for it that we would have to turn away.
We've had to turn them away at full capacity.
Exactly, and he did point that out to me, because unfortunately we didn't open last year. This is all a brand new learning curve for me, but he's been very good. He brought up all of those issues. As it stands right now, it would not be a good idea, but should the guidelines ease up, which they're anticipating, we could revisit.
Because it'll take a little time. If we're going to go back to sponsored swims, we'll have to send letters out saying we're open again, we're willing to do this, blah, 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 blah. And I think generally we fill every Sunday up during the year.
Unless we just simply inform those people who sponsor these are the conditions and let them choose or not choose to sponsor.
Where do those guidelines come from?
CDC. And I think he gets a piece of it too from DCNR.
So they have lowered the social distancing from 6 to 3?
Under these circumstances
swim
with
up there.
outdoors and what Larry takes care of. Yes.
That's what was throwing me, because
Restaurants, this is their way to get.
Restaurants are still 6 feet.
Yes.
I know it changed in schools, but.
Because I was just curious, because like restaurants and stuff still have to have 6 feet.
Mhm.
That's what was weird.
I think it has a lot to do with being outdoors, still having the masks on. But again, I just have to reiterate, no masks in the pool. Larry stressed that to me. He did stress that to me. So, I would like to get that on the agenda for Monday for the opening. And just so we're aware, we did a little bit of research. It looks like the 50th anniversary of the Rock Street Pool is next summer. So I'm going to keep that in mind and get everything back up and running this summer. So next year we can come back and celebrate 50 years. Curbstone, my next thing is the Curbstone Market Ordinance. Thank you very much. I worked on that with their committee, the Curbstone Market Committee. We sat down and went over it together, put everything together, got it to the solicitor. Everything is great. They set up the hours. I do have copies for everybody if you'd like to see. We did take out about slaughtering live animals. I really don't think that's an issue. We're gonna say no to that, but this is great. This is gonna be great. Their committee is great. They were wonderful to work with. There are copies for everybody in the room if you want to read it and then see the fee. The fees are not in there, they were waived for the year, but the dates and times. Interesting enough, one of the times is going to be a Thursday evening. They're actually working with the bank because we don't want to close down Independence Street to start small in the Fulton Bank parking lot in that area and see how much interest they get and then branch out into an evening so that people who work or, can get there. So that's in the packets I have for everyone. Next thing is the Shamokin Community Gardens. I don't know if anybody's gotten a chance to go out and see this group work. They are phenomenal. It takes pride by Sunbury Street. They're doing all the work over there. They're cleaning everything, and I have to thank Charlie and Kevin. They got a dumpster in place over there, and they cleaned everything up. There was an issue with the gardens. They got a lot of donations of product and equipment, but had nowhere to put it. So they found a place that would give them a shed and took a percentage off the shed as a donation, and there will be something over there to denote that. So they've actually procured a shed. It will be the city's shed. It's very nice. It sits back on the property to keep all their equipment in. They are asking though, I have been in there and I didn't realize how unlevel the ground was. There was some debris left from demolition, some big pieces. There's a lot of stuff going on. They got a price from J&S Contracting to come in and level the ground, remove all the debris, and set it up and get it ready for the shed and for the new beds and everything they're putting in, and then start the process. And with our COVID money that we got, with the grant money, we will have money for benches and everything that will go in there. However, that ground needs to be leveled. The contract price is $2,000, and they will come in, level it all, and take all everything with them. The Sunbury Street Community Garden by Dunkin' Donuts. And I ask that you keep in mind, they're putting a lot of focus into that because it's on the main area. If you're in Shamokin and you're not from here, you don't live here, most likely you're on Sunbury Street. They already got rid of our no trespassing sign, which I always thought was funny, no trespassing in the community garden. That's gone. It just looks so much better. And when you're at Dunkin' Donuts, you can kind of see it. So I'm requesting that we put that on the agenda to give them the $2,000 to get that level so they can.
Yeah, it's been nice.
Talked to the guy who owns the house to the left. He was also here today to get it.
It's been a pain.
Okay.
The apartment building?
Pardon?
Maybe I'm not thinking of the same property you're talking about.
Right next to Wagner's.
Yeah, okay, yeah. It's an apartment building to the left. and-
Where there was trouble.
Yeah.
He's,
That's why the no trespassing sign was there. That's exactly why it was there, because that guy was pulling up in there and parking.
Yes.
right, and I understand that, so does he. Yeah, and we had, and that's been fixed. That's been
Yeah.
fixed for a long time. But he also was here today, looking for a dumpster permit because he wants to clean up his property. Our lot is gonna look nice and it's going to have the improvement.
Where is he putting the dumpster
On our,
in the lot?
yes, yeah, you can't put.
You can't put-
yeah,
We put the cities in ours, and I told him, he has my permission to put it in there. And he wants to clean up his turf too.
Yeah, that's been nice. So that'll be a big improvement.
Yeah.
It will be.
So just with Shamokin Community Gardens, they do have their own Facebook page. And if you get an opportunity, please check it out. They update it regularly. They show their work, and they are always looking for new ideas, new volunteers. So please, they're doing great things, and they're really making the city a better place, and they're making everybody's life on this council a little bit easier because it's not the street department, it's not the rest of us. They're doing this. They're volunteers. My next thing is, April is Autism Awareness Month, and I think all of you have met my nephew. He has come to the meetings. He is autistic, and he is my godson and the absolute love of my life. And I know that there are other cities that do proclamations for stuff like this. Autism awareness is something we need to teach our kids that we should be kinder to kids who are different instead of pulling back and socially pushing them away. So I have a proclamation that I found and prepared, and I would like everybody to take a look at it. And I just think it would be a really great thing if we could promote autism awareness in our community. We're trying to be inclusive and bring everybody together. And Mayor, I would actually be honored if we decide to do this, if I could ask my nephew to come meet you when you do the proclamation. I'm concerned that there might be a lot of, yes, but mayor hours, the next Wednesday? Okay, well, we can put it on, if you want, we can stream
live
it.
stream it.
I'm just concerned with a lot of,
Tomorrow's autism awareness.
April 2nd was World
I always come
Autism. We kind of missed that, but the whole month is to just promote, and I do have some stuff if we can post on the city's Facebook page about autism to just help people be aware. Music in the Park had a great donation. They were donated 2 chest freezers to replace the ones that are over there, brand new. Kevin is working on getting a new refrigerator because their refrigerator expired. They were kicking it to start the motor. They lost a lot of food, so Kevin removed it the day I called. And I'd also like to start working with Dave Tamkus, where the bandstand is. We have that big peak up there. Dave has done phenomenal work for different organizations, and I contacted him, and he would like to work with me and get us a sign, because we're having all these events over there, and we're bringing all these people into town, and it's just kind of blank up there. I think it would be great as you're looking up at the bandstand. And then just upcoming events, Miss Kane's cleanup day is the 24th. That will kick off with yoga in the park. So just remind, if anybody on council would like to come do yoga in the park, I'm gonna make an attempt to do yoga in public. I see the chief's raising his hand. And just the community garden cleanups, look at the Facebook pages and stuff, and we can help them out. I ran down it as fast as I could. It wasn't 90
Well,
seconds.
you got rid of a couple of mine. The, on the Rosalind King Day,
Rise 24th at 2?
2 o'clock.
2 o'clock.
Yoga leads up to her cleanup.
Every year we do a proclamation. Making Earth Day, Rosalind King Day in the city of Shamokin.
Yep.
And generally the proclamation reads that this day, today, will be Rosalind King Day in the city of Shamokin. I would like it this year to read this day, now and forever.
Yeah.
Will be Rosalind King Day.
Yeah.
This is her last year.
Yeah, that's good.
And you can also, as mayor, present her with the keys to the city, that she's always welcome to come back.
What? Her mother doesn't want her to know that.
Oh,
Rosa, if you heard that, just record that.
I'm sorry.
Quit letting the surprises out.
Sorry about that.
Maybe she wasn't.
Along with the Rosalind King cleanup, I talked to David. I talked to David Horsey last night and his new assistant. They will also be doing a portal cleanup the same day. They will start at the park and work their way into the city. They're asking if they can put their dumpster on Terrace Avenue and fill it there. They will handle, get rid of it and everything else. So they're not attached to the Rosalind King cleanup. They did schedule it the same day, but they figure they will be out of here by, you say 11 o'clock. Because they are starting at like 8 o'clock in the morning. But that entire area, the portal will be totally cleaned of garbage coming by. I would assume he will.
Okay.
And as soon as we get to the end.
But that was with the Rosalind King thing, just if we could change the proclamation instead of just being for the
This
day.
day and forever.
That's a good idea.
Today and forever.
Okay.
I appreciate
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. 2 p.m.
It's already.
Jen, I didn't want to interrupt, but while you're on that, I want to. Nothing else. Charlie, the other thing, and her mother asked me this.
their biggest problem, and they're gonna probably see it being a bigger problem this year because there's gonna be more people than ever before, is her husband, the father, usually drives around in a pickup truck and drives all over town gathering garbage and bringing it back to the dumpster at Claude Kalen. Is there any way we can assist them better in not having him take so much time to drive around?
I'll get a hold of Kevin, work something out.
Thank you,
We
sir.
can do something. Cause they cover the whole town, pretty much most of the town.
Yes, and they're expecting this year there will be more people here than ever before, so.
So I'll put that on the agenda first. Okay? Or I'll forget it.
That's all right.
Oh, just a quick update on the Legion building. The roof is fixed again. The drains were installed by the roofer himself, not by the plumber. We had torrential downpours, there were no leaks, and the drain plug is being, fixed. We have a contractor in there fixing that.
Let's hope.
Personally, I'd like to take that roof off and just start over, but
That's not, there has not been a drip of water.
I know about it. I know.
Don't say it too loud. Don't. Every time you say it.
Mr. Morano, what do we have?
Speaker started running. We haven't had much cooperation, believe it or not. Starting next Monday, though, tickets are gonna start being given out. Chief, if need be, I will be in the morning also with your officers.
That's correct.
What do you mean? it's incorrect?
Mondays is still, morning. Fall on Mondays tickets.
I don't have a schedule. And I don't know if you realize or not, Chief, but the sweeper is fun.
It's fun?
Yes.
Well, Mayor,
The sweeper was fun.
I have to apologize. It is right. It is not our news item.
That was, yeah, you're welcome. The sweeper.
It's the news item.
I didn't do that.
Sorry.
Does it say the sweeper's
Uh,
not?
my apologies. Okay,
That was fun. I didn't get it, we'll start.
warning tickets. It's not correct, but we don't have nothing we can do about it now. Okay, all right, never mind, Mayor. Nevertheless, the sweeper is running, so the warning tickets will be given out again next
So
week.
morning tickets start Monday.
Yep.
Ticketing starts the following week.
Correct, but we have started giving out warning tickets this week. So that citizens have fair,
Advance. But there's nothing we can, I'm not blaming you. I apologize for mixing it, Mayor, but that's, okay, never mind. Warning tickets will be given out on Monday. Just be a delay in getting the city cleaned up, Mayor. They're doing the best they can. All the,
How are we doing with the off streets?
they're posting off streets. They're actually doing better. Yep, they were moving them, yes. They will continue to do that every day as weather permits.
And those tickets will be issued on the off street things, there is no
Yep.
warning tickets,
Nope,
there are
nope.
immediate tickets.
But from what I understand,
the street foreman gives us a call
Yeah.
when they have problems.
they have been
Very
cooperating.
few and far
Yeah,
between.
they've been cooperating. Thanks for calling that to my attention, Dora.
Well, you're welcome, sir.
I apologize to the public also, but that's definitely not the way it's supposed to be, but I can't change it now. All right, that's all I have there. Sorry about that.
Thank you, sir.
First question is for Linda. The Dort Street property, Dort Cherry, where are we at with that?
The environmental review should be, cleared soon, but it's still under review.
Okay.
So Dave Reed has been, I've been out and about with him when I ran out at work or whatever, doing some things with
I
him.
know, but I want to make sure.
Question for you, Bob. Does he have an email that works yet?
Yes,
Are we sure?
yes.
Because it didn't work last Wednesday.
He emailed me Monday twice.
Okay. Sorry, I keep thinking Penfers, I know it's not it, the reporting system for the
Informant.
informant.
The RMS.
Is he on informant yet?
No.
Okay, what's the holdup?
The holdup has been, he is working with electrical problems in the basement. He had told me, Scott, this past Monday about the electrical problem in the basement. He assured me that he would get started before the week is over with Dave and Michelle with the enforcement department. I even asked him that this morning as to where we stand with that.
We still have licenses.
Did we did we get done with the updates to the laptop computer that he can put it in the car and use it?
Has he gotten the laptop? I don't know. I gave it to Larry last week, so I haven't been here, so I don't know.
The computer needed updates and, takes days. Cause I know last week when I talked to him, he said that he was doing updates on it. So, I don't know how many updates it needed, but,
I honestly don't know if the laptop was given a date yet or not.
okay.
I don't have an answer on that.
I will ask tomorrow morning. I'll send you a text message.
Has the food truck committee had a meeting yet?
Yes. I met with Eric. I met with, and I don't have my notes with me. I met with, Brandon, I believe it is, or Brendan, okay, owns a truck. And there's a Sarah. I had a meeting with them about 2 weeks ago. We discussed examples, plan, or templates that we all were able to obtain from different municipalities. I do have they all had some good ideas. We're gonna get together. I have a form that Charlie has asked me about, information form that will come through us. They'll be signed off by the chief of police, myself, the street department. They'll have their names. It explains what their responsibility is. There'll be a place to check off that we've had in insurance. I wish I had that up here. I don't have it with me. But there's going to be two forms. One is going to be, and Jen, you and I talked about this. The one form is going to be for the truck vendors. And what was the other one?
The event form.
The event form, which is gonna go a long way. Eric thought it was good. Well, the other two that were sitting in on the meeting, Kevin was in on the meeting and the chief of police was in on that meeting. And our goal was to get a form together so that we have something here that we can pull out and answer your questions and make sure you guys are dotted and the T's are crossed so that we don't have any bad feelings, as we almost had the other day, where we had 1, 2, and the mayor said to me, all he would like to see is that I be fair and everybody be treated equally. And that has to do with trash, you know. You're gonna give out barrels, you know, who's gonna be responsible for picking up the trash? The horses that are used to close the street, stuff like that. But I'm pleased with the form, and I'm looking forward to getting back with them, sharing that form with them. I don't believe anybody should have a problem with the form. The form was desperately needed because everybody that was coming through the front door downstairs was hearing a different story, what they had to do, what they didn't have to do. And now it's going to be uniform across the board.
And they're required to uniform, there will be check boxes, right, that they provided all documentation, they paid their fees.
Where's this form? Is it composed?
Yes, I've got it on my desk.
I don't know if anyone has seen the form.
I don't have the food truck one, but I have a copy of the event one up here. It's simple, 1 page, everybody answers the same thing. And I can keep it, you know, it's all.
Oh, you have to have something, and like I said, and I think you might have said the same thing. We need to start somewhere,
Not only
because
that,
we have nothing.
we sit here at meetings and we're asking all these questions. If it's on a form, and they sign that document.
Right.
That's the way it is.
But also, I don't know if we have.
Okay, this is for that, but
Council, there's also thought to the ordinance, putting an ordinance
Okay.
For what?
for the food trucks, for clarifying that. For mobile.
Yeah.
So is this a food
Yes.
truck or a special?
That's the
store?
issue.
Or is there two?
This is.
Okay,
Okay.
okay.
That's was my question. That's what I was getting at.
Yeah, that's, and Bob, correct me if I'm wrong, but that's something that we did talk about and that we are working on. Is the ordinance portion.
Yeah.
Councilwoman
Yes.
But we all felt,
You gave me the
including yourself, that it
This is
was
special.
really important to get something
We should have
together.
that. That should-
Well, yeah, to get right away, yeah.
And an informational page.
So will those event forms replace the written letters sent to say, I want to have this here and there?
Yeah,
That's what I'm asking.
I think that'd be good.
Right.
Will they be part of the online?
That in itself is a moving.
Once everybody has their input and likes the way it is, and we include it. That's like,
Yeah, why it wouldn't.
When I have the other one together, I'll certainly put a copy in everybody's box, but at least for now, and I want council's input, I want council's blessing on this, but at least for now, I have something to at least be able to, instead of me sitting here trying
Yeah,
to
read
answer
the-
your questions, his question,
Right.
I'll bring this with me until you guys, you gotta give me the liberty to utilize this temporarily, but you're gonna have an opportunity to have input on the finalization.
Right.
So if someone calls and says they want to do this, instead of telling them, hey, you just send a letter to council requesting this and this, they'll say, here's their application.
and then the cover sheet that explains. I think there was one copy attached to that. Just a cover sheet that explains how to fill it out.
Most of this, yeah, this will be our own, but I have like five municipalities that I have packets from those municipalities as to what they use. Some were,
They're ridiculous. Some of them are 5 and 6 pages long. They're charging $175 fee just to apply for the date.
Wow.
I mean, it was, you needed an instruction manual to fill out the form.
that's true, that's a good way of putting it.
You did. There was, one of them had 2 pages of instructions to fill out a 6-page form. I think that's just getting into the weeds. This is.
At least we're gonna have something that we can take
Yeah.
baby steps with.
Not only that, you'll have a paper trail now too.
Yeah.
Right.
Instead of someone just sliding something through the door,
What do
You'll
you
have a
post
form.
to everybody?
You'll have a
When did you talk to the chief? When did you talk to council? It's all on the same form.
and if they have any additional comments or they can attach everything to it, it's right there. That way the chief of police can have it, street foreman, we don't have to go, we're batting our heads up here every month. Well, what are we gonna do? How many streets? This way
Well,
it can be
you know,
spelled out.
at one time, just a couple of years ago, I think you would only have maybe one,
Yeah.
possibly 2
You're right.
requests to do anything in this
You're
town.
right.
But now you can see whether.
We're a hot spot.
Now we're going after.
Places hot.
One after another, people want to have this, people want to have this, so you need to have something like this.
I don't think the events were the issue. It was the food trucks not having permits and stuff was the issue.
Yeah, I think when they.
They coming in and they're making money and not paying any taxes, but they're getting it here, you know? I think that was the issue.
Yeah.
This one's for you, Bob. The Brokenshire property, where are we at with that?
That's something that he and I talked about this afternoon. You want to talk about it, Mayor, or you want to?
I talked to Linda a little bit right before the meeting. I like what it's actually for her.
Okay, you want to express your concern?
What do we have?
Well,
I asked Bob to call down there last week about
okay,
getting that
where it
property.
stands is, yes, we can buy it.
Can we put them on hold?
This new word that we learned, an option on the property.
What?
An option. It stays in her name until we
Decide.
decide we're gonna take it. Blah, blah, blah. Like they did with the road. They don't technically own it, they can't be sued.
I don't, because it all goes by state guidelines, I don't see that happening.
Wait, say that again, Scott, I didn't hear you say.
The tax sales and stuff all go by state guidelines.
Okay.
I can't see them being able to hold a property.
They're doing it with the Schroeder Mill property with Stella Ali for Craig Rhodes and bunch. Taxes haven't been paid up there in 12 years
But there's a lien on it, right?
by us.
Like that.
But the auction is owned by somebody that has, no,
Yeah.
they have it tied up and we.
Right, and that will expire and Mr. Kanaka is gonna have to do some talking with the, Madison solicitor, which record-wise, it's Mr. Garrigan, because the mayor has expressed concern that the city maybe should look into what alternatives are available to them, so that we, I just,
That's not.
Yeah, let's-
So, so basically, right now, we need to have someone contact Janelle at the county and see, hey, we want this property, but we don't wanna take it over in our name today. Can you hold it?
because then that puts, then, Scott, I'll ask that question for you.
Well, I mean, that's what.
That's what is that issue here, but the county then is going to have that liability. I mean, if that thing comes down tonight,
What liability? they have.
I believe they don't have any liability. Because that law changed.
if it has cleared, if it has gone through the tax claim sale, it's done, it's in the county's hands.
So the county should.
But
Hang on a
they're not
second.
gonna carry it out. That's
I
not
can
true.
help. I can help.
It remains in the owner's name. Even though the county takes it, the owner is responsible for any and all problems and citations until the day the deed changes names. Once the deed changes names, then they're out of it. The county, in no way, shape, or form, when they take these properties, to be a liability or a problem. If they get nothing, we get stuck with the burden.
Repository.
Right,
They don't.
we get stuck with the burden.
And from talking to Linda a little bit prior to the meeting, it is acceptable for you to start the process of a demolition without it being in our name. We only have to put it in our name when the demolition is.
There are two ways you can demolish a property using CDBG funds. You can demolish a property as an emergency on a property you don't own, or one that you do own. If you know that you're going to buy it, you could start the ER knowing that you're going to buy it. If you actually want to demolish it and not own it, then you have to go through all the red tape of notices and that whole process. But there is nothing in the environmental review process that says you must have started those emergency measures to run an environmental review.
But the city, go ahead, Scott.
My question would be, from the time we decide, okay, this property, we want to tear down,
Mhm.
until it goes out on, or we acquire it in our name and start getting to the point where we're tearing it down, how much money do we spend?
Well, you're gonna have to spend an ER, and then if you end up not getting it, you would need to reimburse your CDBG account for that money.
And that's my issue.
Then this is why we would have to have an option on the property so that we can exercise ownership anytime we like.
However, what happens if someone comes up to the repository sale? We haven't gotten it yet, and they offer $300.
It has to come to us before.
I can't speak to an auction.
That's what we need to find out.
Again, it's the same thing happened at the Shorter property. Nobody, they have that locked up. We can't touch it. We can't do anything with it until that option expires.
Yeah, but we have to absorb expenses though.
Yes.
All the state expenses were absorbed by the city. That's all. We haven't gotten the documents.
That's on us.
I see what Scott's getting.
That's something I think that.
My biggest fear with it is we sat at dinner, holding our breath that Dort Street didn't kill somebody.
Yeah.
I don't want to hold my breath on Dort Street and Sunbury Street being in our name and coming down.
Yeah, because you know, if it does, you want to clean it up. And you're not gonna get nobody else. We're gonna.
That was my biggest thing. It's a liability for us once we put it in our name.
I
Oh,
can
maybe please.
offer that, no, I'm sorry, I think I interrupted you.
Go ahead.
Your new CDBG engineer can do a structural assessment. They have a structural engineer and stuff. It's gonna tell you how safe the building is.
He takes one look at that.
Well,
Like this.
You also have to take into consideration the dollars here. Okay, I understand what Linda is saying. Yes, you know, anybody should, if he says, look at, because I asked this question when the Schroyer building was still standing, and I asked that of two different engineers. You know, what's the chances this thing is gonna collapse and somebody's gonna get seriously injured or killed? And I got an opinion from two different engineers, and they both concluded that if that building collapses, what is gonna happen? And I don't wanna sit here and go through that. It's done, it's down, it's over with. But you,
I mean, I don't I'm not necessarily sold that it's a bad idea to get a report from a professional to have in your file. But I would defer to the city's experience here. I mean, I don't know if that's something that could backfire for you. With CDBG, it's helpful. If you have something in the file that shows that you're doing everything you can, it gives you a level of protection.
It's amazing what homes are staying.
I mean, if that property.
The thing is, the Brokenshire property is not as bad as everybody is making it out to be. It's the one next to it. But you can't take one half without taking the other. That's where the issue comes in. Now, ours does have some issues. I'm not gonna say it's perfect, because it's not. But the main issue is the house next door.
You own that one?
No, but the guy is willing to sign it over.
Well, if that's the case,
I
then
mean, Charlie, you know, Barbara, you should know, I know, you know, this has been going on.
Yep.
At least
Oh my God.
5-6 years that I know.
I can remember Billy Milbrand being up there begging them to just give it to the city that we could turn it
Scott,
down.
when I used to be near the water company, they were in bad shape. They did
I
nothing.
mean, I was able to get her to move out at least,
I agree, it's,
but not as political.
Aaron Bush, you're disaster with now.
if the problem isn't the property you're talking about now, but the property next to it, and the city is not going to own it until you own the property you're talking about now, I forget the last name, is the liability still a concern?
And that's my biggest concern,
Yeah,
is
because
this Dort Street property has been in our name for too long without coming down.
Okay, so are you talking about the Dewart Street property that you're waiting for an ER on? That's the house next door? Okay, we're mixing.
We're confusing properties here.
Yeah, I mean, I don't understand what we're talking
Okay.
about.
We'll say property A and property B.
Okay.
Property A is really, really, really bad. Property B isn't the greatest, but it ain't the worst.
And these are the adjoining properties you're talking
The
about
two
that are
together,
not Dewart.
Yes,
This is not Dewart, A and B.
right. It's on Sunbury Street. You can't take one without the other.
Right, like 118 and 122,
Right.
okay?
The bad property, the guy will sign it over. The other one is in tax base. Tried to get her, I mean, I know I've tried for the last 3 years at least, to get her to sign it over to us, so we could get both of them, get them down.
Mhm.
She would not do it. I managed to get her to move out and go to a high rise as well, somewhat.
I mean, the house is on top.
And now it's coming out, and now it went for taxes, right?
I don't have fear that Edith Brokenshire's half is gonna fall.
You
I
have to
have
the
fear
property
that the
A.
other one's gonna go, and when it does, if it causes damage somewhere and pulls part of the one that, if we put it in our name, now we're on the hook too. And that's what we're concerned.
Yeah, we've been, and going back to the Dort Street property, we've been sitting on that for months.
Yep.
In our name, praying that it doesn't come down and kill somebody.
And
I'm just looking to minimize the amount of time that we have Edith Brokenshire's and the other property in our name before demolition.
puts us to too much liability to put this in our name very early in the process, if we don't have to, and hold on to it until the process is done. If we can get in later in the process to minimize the liability to the city, that's my only question is, how do we do that?
Well, I can offer two things. One of the issues with the Dewart Street property was the amount of time it took to get an estimate, which we never did get. So I can talk to the new engineer, and get a time frame from him on how long it's gonna take to get an estimate on a property, so that we know that once we get an ER cleared, we have an estimate, we can take it out to bid.
We don't have any.
Yeah, because, well, when I
It
had
was
said to you
requested
about this
twice.
2 months ago, whoever you were dealing with, you said was gonna try to speed the process up over an environmental review.
I'm confused.
So, but, I mean, I think the question is, can there be an option
And I'll
through the
call
county
and speak with Janelle tomorrow morning.
that we can hold it, that no one else can purchase it, but never put it in our name? Maybe we can, I don't know.
Well, I'll see how long the process takes for Dewart, because we're at the point now where the ER letters are being generated, they're coming to me, which means that you're within a month of being able to start on that project. So I'll see how long it takes for Peters to get an estimate. And then once the the environmental review comes back, it can immediately go out to bid, because you can't put something out to bid until the environmental review clears. Then we need an estimate before we can go out to bid. So I will make sure that those ducks are in a row, move quickly. And then as far as properties A and B go, if you have specific questions for me there, I'll be happy to work on them.
Scott, Edith's property and the property next door were both on the judicial sale that just went through. So,
Okay, then I don't know, we
Yeah.
let that go back.
he did. So they're both on there.
Okay.
Are you looking at buying both of them then?
They're connected. They need to both come down.
As close to the demolition date as possible.
Yes. Well, call and ask Janelle if we can put an option on them.
Right, that's okay.
And according to you, Linda, that's okay to do that. We can start the process with them not in our names, just as long as we have the intent.
I thought they were both on that list.
Then we
I
can
just.
get it. If we can get an option. then I think we can't get an option. I
No,
think
we
we're
shouldn't spend
wasting
it.
money.
Yeah, exactly.
You could be wasting money. You know, somewhere out there, there's that guy. The only other thing I have there is stuff for executive session.
Thank you, sir.
And I'll just need to remind you, just for my own conscience, that will require another $4,000 ER fee. Because you just put an ER through.
Yeah.
But didn't know about this, so it would go in as a separate ER. There's nothing, if it's a separate ER, I can't change that fee.
Right. This one wasn't, this just came about.
Oh, no, I'm not criticizing.
No,
I just
I'm
wanna
saying
make-
this one just came about, or I would have gave you this one.
I know.
Yeah, we
No,
actually.
I'm just making it clear, so I'm disclosing.
Nothing further, sir? All right, we'll go through my stuff real quick. Cab stand parking lot, has he agreed to pay the full amount or are we throwing him off?
Has anyone spoken to him?
You said no discount.
Right. Yep. It's still all there. It's,
I talked to him once, he talked to him, we discussed it, does everybody wanna waive the fee or reduce the fee? So if not, I'll.
Tell him move his stuff.
okay. Parking permits we did. Code book rewrite, where are we at with, are we picking back up on the meetings?
My suggestion would be is since, we've gotten as far as we did, unless council objects to it, I think we ought to ask Mr. Oviedo if he, will continue and bring it to closure.
Didn't we say that exact same thing last month? I agree.
I don't believe so.
Yeah.
No, I thought that's what we agreed on, seriously. Yeah, let him close this out.
What I'm saying is I'm certainly in favor of that.
Yeah.
But, you know. it's not the first time
Does anybody
I'm
have a
good.
negative feeling about that?
No.
I just want to, I would like to get started on it,
Yeah,
and
why
get
start
that
from
process
square
done.
one?
Did you guys close it?
The next one, and we talked about it at the last workshop, it missed the agenda for the meeting. Can we please send a letter to the county, tax claims or whoever it needs to be? When the option expires on the Schroyer property, please do not renew the option or provide any other options on behalf of the city of Shamokin. We need to get that property in the hands of a person that can develop it and do something with it and not sit there as a lot.
Agenda item to write a letter to the county.
Yeah, and again, it was last month, but we forgot, we didn't make the agenda. It's not a big deal. We're still okay. Along with that, Stella Ali is still the titled owner of that property. Has she been arrested for high grass? Has she been billed for the services of cutting the grass? And if not, let's get on that type of stuff. We are not maintaining somebody else's property all year again this year.
Well, I can tell you, I drive past it every day. I don't think I've seen high grass up there because our guys have been up there on a regular.
It's private property and we should not be
There's
maintaining
two
somebody.
owners, correct?
Yes, Gilly's kid, Matt Stevens owns part of it and Stella Ali owns the other part of it. It's still in there.
He's been giving you bills.
It's still in their names.
He's been giving you bills.
Kevin has been, anytime that he has.
Matt Stevens is deceased. Yeah,
Yes,
there, he has been billing it out.
okay.
So, I mean, like
We
I
have
said,
no
we're not
one
getting
to
no money,
say
but he
to
has
him.
been billing it out.
To the best of my knowledge, he has been keeping a record
Yep.
of.
So we haven't sent it to Stella Ali to say she owes us thousands of dollars for services.
I would recommend it be sent. I would get it sent
Yes,
immediately.
yeah, it's on the, it's on
Definitely
the,
give you the final tally for what we did over the last, whatever, and get it to them.
either that or stop cutting the grass and let her
Yep.
start getting
Yep.
arrested.
And we'll just-
Home rule commission meetings. We met with Ryan Hottenstein again yesterday. We spent 45 minutes on the phone with Ryan. Plans are being made to take care of Betsy's part of it with paying for flyers going out to super voters, and that there's certainly a plan developing. Ryan recommended at least one, possibly two, actual meetings at the Career Center where we put on the display like we did again last time, allow the public to come and ask their questions. Hopefully this time there will be a lot more positive public there with our boards and committees and everybody pushing to get this done. But folks, if you want to get with Bob and tell him what are the best days for him to rent that hall up there, we do, it's a month away. So we do have to put a meeting or two together. So whatever's best for you, if Thursdays are best, or please get with Bob within the next couple of days because we have to make those arrangements and get that done. While you're on the phone with Janelle, the owner of the Washington School is out of jail now and has made an appearance up there at the property, which made me look the property up to make sure she still owns it. It is listed as a school/tax exempt still from when it was the Washington School. So as long as you're on with Janelle, if it's a taxable property, let's get her back on the tax rolls if we can.
We haven't.
I don't.
We haven't.
But I noticed the other day, it's like.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Is it still the same owner?
It's been that way.
Yeah, it's still Joan Chicella. I think just out of the kindness of his heart and not wanting to live to it, the guy on the left side has been cutting his hair.
Is that why half
Yes.
has been done?
Yeah.
I haven't seen it, but that's a very little.
So she is out of prison then?
Yes, I believe she's had interaction with the police. If it is a taxable property and it was just overlooked because it was always a school, now that it's privately owned, I think we move forward with getting taxes on it. There's a pile of tax property sold, Scott, and I know I talked to you about this. Are we sending letters out to all of the new owners of the tax sale properties and say, when the deed becomes in your name, you have 90 days to get here and get a permit to tear it down?
April. Yes, I know I talked to you. I just
We
wanted,
should be.
okay.
I'm not so sure that
And while we're on the on the codes
we
office,
know that.
Scott, Karen's last day, is she gone? She's not here anymore, or how long do we retain her
We
to
had
train?
it for 90 days.
She was, exactly tomorrow.
Okay.
But she is on board right now, in regards to your question, is she gone? No, she isn't. And she is providing, training, to Mr. Reed, as much as she possibly can and what he has requested. It's been a good relationship, and it's important that he continue to have someone such as herself, overlooking his shoulder and being out there in the community and so forth.
What's her end date?
That I don't know right off the top.
Just from what we've experienced here in the past, and I'm not just gonna say since I'm here, but from being with the city, we put code officers on their own, let them learn. We have an opportunity here, if we can keep her as long as possible. Give this man the opportunity to do it right and be
I thought-
comfortable with what he's doing.
We had her for 90 days after we hired a code officer.
She told me she was done the end of April, that you told her she was done the end of
So
April.
that was March 22nd. I would
And
say
she's
June
been
22nd.
interviewing with other communities, so if we need to keep her, someone needs to talk to
That
her.
would be great. 90 days.
I don't know where she got it at the end of it.
But then you also
I
have to
don't
watch
recall
the
having a
budget.
conversation with her regarding the end of it. I figured from the very beginning, at least April and May, to have her for at least 60 days.
She told me the end of April, so someone needs to talk to her.
Back there in the interview, she said she committed to 90 days from when the person was hired in those interviews.
Okay. As long as he gets as much as we can possibly afford to do.
That's what I was told when we hired her, was that when we go to terminate, we have her for 90 additional days after termination.
Good.
That would be great.
That's fantastic.
What were you saying, Doreen, is somebody needs to.
Somebody needs to
Yeah,
talk to her.
clarify that.
Yeah, please,
That would be great.
because the more she is with him, the better he'll be trained,
Yeah,
and the
sure.
more confident he'll be to be out on his own, because it's a lot of work, and to throw somebody right out there.
We have to do a budget modification and then money to be able to get it in there.
Yeah.
I don't want to see us bust the budget.
There's excess, health insurance for the year that can be modified to move over to salary, because we're not
She's here.
using that at all.
I will have the information for you at lunchtime. She's here tomorrow.
The longer we can keep her, the longer she can stay here and help him, the better off.
Tell me about it.
I think it'd be best.
Anybody else have anything before we go to this executive session? And Linda, who do you need? Bob, who do you need? Scott, who do you need?
I just need counsel, a solicitor.
I think anybody can be here, but I think maybe Betsy, should have the option of being here because she's got a kind of a stake in this decision and may have something to say. But that's your call.
Okay. Everybody can say it, like, folks out there in TV land, we're gonna be going into an executive session. There will be no city business done after the executive session is done. We will only come back into the meeting to adjourn the meeting. There won't be any further discussion or decision made at that time. Time is, 8:15. At this time, we're going to go into executive session.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, folks.
No, we sat there trying to find